Great. Thank you, Daman, for joining us for today's session. So I think firstly, before we start off, I just wanted to quickly do a quick introduction about Daman to all our people attending the current webinar here. So I think quickly about Daman here is that Daman is a thought leader in the growth and the hyperscaling industry here, specifically for D2C brands. He's been a marketing maverick till now. He's also been worked earlier in this past as a CMO and a growth head for Boat, MobiKwik and Milk Basket. Adding on to that, Daman is an ISB alumnus and now at Globalbees, the Chief Business Officer. Currently at his stint at Globalbees, he's been working on scaling up D2C brands like Angme, The Better Home, Reach are among a few of them that he's currently been working. And I think from our side, from the Social Beat side, Daman, we really want to thank you for taking out this time and being a part of this session. And I think everyone's really looking forward to getting some great insights from you on how to scale up D2C brands and learn a lot from your experience as well. So I think before we begin, I think there's a quick intro deck that Daman wanted to discuss with everyone as participants over here. So I'll quickly share my screen, and if someone can just confirm if my screen is visible, we can just quickly take that forward.
Yeah, all good, Tej.
Perfect. Thank you. I'll just put it on presentation here. So.
Guys, just wanted to quickly take it through what Globalbees is. It's been a new company. I just thought I'd introduce what we do. I've got nothing to do with honey. We're basically, building a conglomerate of micro brands by acquiring legitimate growing brands. This is very different from a play that you see typically in the USA. Here we involve ourselves completely, right from manufacturing all the way to marketing. Can we go to the next slide? Yeah, so like I said, right, we kind of work with entrepreneurs, right from manufacturing, supply chain, distribution, product, and helping them scale up their brand or marketplaces and even their website. If you can move to the next one. Yeah, and how do we do this? We've built a omni-channel distribution channel. We've got a warehouse in practically every state. We've got an awesome team of marketeers, which works very closely with the social team. Also performance and brand marketing. We built a whole enterprise tech backbone, manufacturing network, and a whole team around new product development. So that's how we work very closely with any of the D2C brands which come onto the Globalbees fold. So just wanted to introduce that, leave it here, and I think we can, move forward.
Sure. Thank you so much, Daman, for the quick introduction about Globalbees. I think this does set context for everyone out here. So I think since we're talking about Globalbees here, I think firstly a big congratulations to the Globalbees team as well as you for becoming a unicorn very recently in this very short span of time. So I think we just also wanted to understand how has the journey been overall, because it's been hyperscaling, reaching that unicorn mark. How's that overall journey been for you along with the team here?
So it's been quite exhilarating and tiring, let me put it that way. So in this short span of time, we've integrated 13 plus companies. We've acquired a lot more, but paperwork's taking time, and they'll also be coming in. So it's practically a company coming in every 10 days, which means an entrepreneur with his team and his own working culture. Coming in, and this is all happening. At the time when we've also building our own company, right? In terms of infrastructure, in terms of going live on multiple marketplaces. So unlike the US, where you have typically Amazon leading the charge, in India there is Amazon, Flipkart, Myntra, Nykaa, Jio, Milk Basket, Big Basket, Rel, Meesho. So we've got to work with a ton of players all around. Leverage our relationships over there to help brands grow. Also, in India is a huge manufacturing setup, right? Unlike the US, so it's not about importing goods from China or Vietnam and selling them there. A lot of the goods are produced here. So working very closely with the supply chain, being vertically focused in terms of merchandising, new product development. So it's building up all these teams and working through all these different things simultaneously, right in the middle of when we had a third kid. So it's been a pretty interesting time, I'd say.
I think how I always used to say that it's been a hustle. It's just been chaotic, but you have been making sense in the whole chaos over there. So I think that's been really great. And I think the point we really mentioned right now about talking was the manufacturing part, because I think people still don't believe that a lot of manufacturing is done in India. So on that part, I had my second question here, because I think a lot of D2C brands that are currently present in our country, they are planning to look at building a brand right now, but I think they are not able to understand that how do we own our customers. I think a lot of brands just believe that having a growth strategy in place would actually help you get your customers and own them, but it's actually to do more about not just having just a growth strategy there. So just wanted to understand your thoughts and your advice on this point here.
Someone is a little bit contrarian here. Owning the customer doesn't mean having the customer's email ID and phone number. That is in no way owning a customer. Owning a customer is when you wake up this person in the middle of the sleep and you say, I said washing powder, what will you say? That is owning the customer. And to be able to do that, you have to do two things, right? One is be a fairly visible brand and evoke an emotion in the consumer's mind. And second is deliver on the promise in terms of an awesome product and experience when the consumer is using that product. Today we hear a lot about having our own website and owning the customer. I don't think that's very true in the sense that it's being portrayed, but yes, it is true in the sense that the customer can have much enriched user experience about what your product is and understand your brand story and your back story far better, because there's a lot more screen that you can allocate over there as opposed to seeing the next scheme with the price and the review. But owning the customer also means engaging the customer either via content, via communities, via the packaging, via the product being used and the response. That's when you end up engaging the customer, right? And unlike I would say 20 years ago, where people said iconic brands are built, but that was also because there was a huge barrier for smaller brands to create iconic brands because it required an insane amount of money. Okay, so let me explain that. At that point in time, if you had money, you would go and do a TVC. Okay, today if you do a TVC, you end up spending 7 to 8 crores minimum, right? And no TVC is a failure, because after spending 7 to 8 crores, no marketer is going to say I failed, right? So today you can reach the consumer far faster by either a marketplace or either a website or either through a content platform, wherein the consumers repeatedly consume the kind of content that your brand is around, right? So the process of creating a brand has been democratized, right? Because it's far easier to reach the customer. But what that also means is it's become far noisier, right? Your Instagram scroll, if your brand is not portraying an awesome piece of content, will get tapped out. Okay, they will not watch your reel, they will not watch your story. So people want, while you say attention spans are short, but people are also spending more and more time with brands that they love. Okay, so there's a lot of dichotomies and paradoxes that are existing in today's world. So there is no silver bullet ki yehi karo and that's how you create a brand. So there are multiple routes which people are taking to reach that.
I think, Daman, right now when you mentioned about the TVC part, and I think that was one of my follow-up questions also for you right now after this, was to ask, because I think when I've spoken to a few co-founders and entrepreneurs out there, I think they all have this conception that if you want to build a massive brand, it requires a massive amount of financial investment into it. But I think they also, like how you mentioned, talking about content or even kind of having a zero-cost marketing strategy. So I think a lot of founders right now, I just feel they only think about investments. So like one point you mentioned as a tip, which was that if you have the right kind of a content out there, it does grab eyes, it does grab eyeballs over there. So are there any other things that you've seen in the past which have worked as a zero cost marketing strategy? Some tips for all our founders or some entrepreneurs who are on the call that someone can learn from here?
Oh yeah, and there are tons of way in which you can build love with the customer and market yourself you know to the consumer without spending a lot of money. I mean, nothing is zero cost, but I mean you don't need to spend a ton of money, right? For example, in the early days, I mean, I recommend every founder to go and talk to the consumers, right? Once you bought some product and an early adopter has come in and bet on your brand and saying, this lipstick looks good, let me just try it out, and founders calling, right? That builds business. Like that person will talk the kind of conversation you have, right? With the consumer, when this is happening. So I mean, you don't be calling him to check another one, right? You'll be calling him to understand what the person felt while using this, and that gives you a lot of content to use back into your website. That gives you a lot of copy, right? To write again. Early days, when a D2C brand is starting up, you won't have a lot of data with you. Okay, the common mistake that a lot of users do, a lot of founders do, is they use the little bit data and they try to run the company in a different direction, right? Early on, what you need to do is access a lot of subjective data. So while one part of the marketing is talking to the consumer and building an opinion leader, second is also getting a lot of content for your copy, right? That much. Then another way of doing this is again not a very free per se, but suppose you're launching a new SKU, right? Bundle it up with an existing larger SKU and give for free. Give a sample size for free, right? Now there are companies which help you do a lot of sampling, right? Expert and all this, right? Distributor free sample. But there are a lot of I think before doing that, you should use your own consumer base to sample, right? If they like, let's say, almond oil, they like an almond shampoo, right? Give them a one-time usage almond shampoo. And you know what? Give them a call after 10 to 15 days. And you'll get an idea. People will say, your oil is very good, but your shampoo is not great. I like a better smelling shampoo, or so on and so forth. And that will help you, innovate really fast. So like this, there are tons of experiments that you can run. Getting testimonials is something which I spend a lot of my time right now. Right, every testimonial in the online world counts. I think that is the physical manifestation of the word of mouth. Okay, someone willing to take time out and write for you. I think that's awesome, right? See, as marketers, we tend to think that the consumer is always thinking about it. No, the consumer is not thinking about your brand. There are a lot of problems at home. He's not giving your brand more than 5 minutes of a day, and both not even more than 50 seconds a day, right? But if he's taking the time out and spending 1 extra minute to write about you, I think you're home, right? Because not only that leads to your SEO, leads to social proof, but also it's got an opinion leader over this, and I actually love this brand. Okay, subconsciously you've written a review, and then this person may also talk about it at a later point in time. Right. So yeah, these are the tactics here.
I think Daman, you would also love to see one of this as a topic on your blog section as well. I think that would be interesting for all of us to go through and get some more tips from you also very regularly over here.
No worries, karta
hu. Sure, thank you, Daman. So I think one more thing which we have also spoken about and we do hear from you also a lot is about talking about the North Star metrics. I think that's something you very fondly talk about and you share with the consumers over here. So I think we also wanted to kind of understand from you that for a brand which is just starting off right now, you already mentioned about having the right kind of a data, understanding customers and all, but on the KRA side or kind of setting their North Star metric right, what should be an ideal approach for a brand to take for this?
There are multiple ways to look at the North Star metric. A lot of times people put revenue as a North Star metric, which is okay. it is a decent North Star metric. But if you dig deeper, it should always be the value that you are giving to the user. Revenue is going to be a function of what value you give to the user. So it's very fundamental for you to figure out exactly what is the value that you're giving. Like Airbnb, my favorite example, is number of nights, right, that a person is staying. Zoom call is number of meetings in a week, right, because you don't open a Zoom call in video. So you need to figure out what is that exact metric that you want to measure, which will help you capture the value that you're delivering to the consumer, right? For a company like us, while we think we know a North Star metric, but we still not hit the nail on the wall and saying yes, you want to live with this, right? So some of the metrics that we track is obviously number of orders in a day, revenue, like I said, it's an early North Star metric. But we also look at output metrics like bestseller rank. How many of my products are in the number one bestseller rank, right? So that means the velocity is high. That means people are coming back. There's more repeat users happening, and how do I go about building that? So these are some of the things that we look at. But I think what you also need to understand is North Star metric is one metric, but and that's the hero metric, right? You have to break it up into smaller parts. You have to break it up into smaller metrics, which you have to then break it up into KPIs, right? And these KPIs then translate into OKRs at a later point in time. But in an early stage startup, you can break the metric into smaller parts and go after each one of them. To complete an order, you need to first drive users onto the platform, right? And then you have to generate repeat users. And then how do you generate repeat users? You have you create a subscription, for example, or you put a reminder, right? When you think the product is going to get over, so on and so forth, or you generate a word of mouth, right? So these are kind of things that you'll have to keep figuring out. How do I move the needle on each one of those smaller metrics so that I can keep reaching closer and closer to the North Star metric. I mean, keep improving my North Star metric. So that's how typically you want to think about a framework for a North Star metric, rather than just saying revenue high, but revenue comes from new users, existing users. Existing users, we can break it into these three parts. New users we get from these four channels, so on and so forth.